Back, guys, to another episode of the Doctor to Doctor podcast. Today we have a special guest, and I'm so excited to start this conversation. Now, we have Dr. Adrian Mitchell with us today. So, this is someone who I have worked with, someone who have been a leader. And when you look at someone and say, I want to be like that guy, I actually mean it. So, before we even get him on, he is a gynecologic oncologist, entrepreneur, and father who bridges life and medicine, business, along as well as family. And from advancing women's health in the operating room to leading companies in sanitation and manufacturing, he brings a unique perspective on purpose driven work, and he is a man of God, which is very important as well. In this episode, we'll be talking about resilience in medicine, building beyond medicine, and what it truly means to live a life of meaning while balancing a hectic career, leadership, and of course, family. So, welcome to the podcast, Dr. Mitchell.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations on your platform. I think it's very unique. And I'm trying to educating the masses about how to journey on wealth outside of, I guess, the regular career as a doctor, you know? So
Yes,
congrats on that, you know?
yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. Coming from you means a lot. So, what I really want to get into, let's just jump into the meat of the matter. Um, Navigating medical school, it's hard because I think it's only at the end or in the middle that you realize there's just so much more to it that at the start people just didn't tell you all the realities and all the truths. And
Correct.
what this platform is trying to do is just to peel back the mirror, peel back the veil, so that we can have a full understanding, so that when people look at it, they have a full scope, a wider view, so that it's better to navigate. And so, with that said, I know that you've trained hundreds of students, including myself. You've worked with thousands of patients as well, impacting lives. And I think the first question I want to ask is, what's one thing you wish every young doctor learned outside the textbook?
Hmm. So the first thing that I would say to any young doctor that learn how money works,
Mm.
learn the value of your time. Those are two big things I think as physicians in training we don't learn. We are groomed to be what I'd say the smartest batch of people that matriculate in med school, especially in the Caribbean.
Right.
We're not treated as the smartest. So you find that throughout someone's training career, and I say it every time I teach students, they're not training you to think. So I think once young doctors come across me and I start teaching, you're going to notice I'm going to push you to start thinking a bit outside of the box.
Yeah.
And I find that once you start allowing doctors to think and you teach them some principles, I think that's where we could become a little bit of a force. So yeah, those are answers to that question.
Okay. Yeah. Um, Learning how to think, and especially how money works, I think that's important because a lot of people come into medicine, oh, I'm just going to get a lot of money and live a comfortable lifestyle. You learn quickly that's not how it works.
No,
Right.
it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. I think we have the beauty of sitting at two different tiers in the ladder, and I'll give you the other daunting thing is that if you think being a consultant is going to give you the lifestyle you want, it's no. It's
Mm.
not about being ungrateful.
Mm.
It's also the man in the mirror moment where you realize that those who are paying a student loan is not until you maybe have worked 10 years, 12 years that you're able to kind of pay this loan unless you're doing payments, doing the monthly payments and also paying on the principal. So you
Mhm.
can't look in the mirror like, wait, what's going on here? This is a bit, you know? And even after that, the salary that you're going to get, you're still put in a box because you have to understand that even up to just recently, and it made the news locally in Jamaica, and it wasn't a Gleaner, that consultants were fighting for years to get a raise, years. And it was thanks to the JMD, the junior doctors got a big kick up in salary to the point that they were being paid better than consultants. Not against it. It was due a long time. I'm very happy for it. But even though we have gotten this kind of pat on the back and a raise, I said, any consultant talked to the local and I said, that's just okay.
Mm-hmm.
They can't pay for a mortgage for a house near to the hospital. They can't pay for a car loan, I'd say. And you'd find that you need to do this kind of adult outside to what I consider live an acceptable lifestyle. And
Mm-hmm.
we're not talking necessarily driving the big cars. I mean, if you come to the hospital at UA, I don't think you guys see much big vehicles, you know.
Yeah.
So it begs you to understand when you take a step back
Mm-hmm.
from medicine and you look around in our setting in the Caribbean or in Jamaica, I should say, primarily, when you look on where the money kind of rotates, and as it rotates in a very pointed way,
Mm-hmm.
it's more of the business of medicine than the actual P2P of medicine, you know? So I think, you know, there's a lot to medicine, and I tell any doctor, if you want to be wealthy or be rich, a 9 to 5 where somebody writes a check is not going to be the way forward. You want to start thinking outside the box and start thinking of other ways to develop other incomes. I mean, it's good that you started this podcast off in prayer, and I'd like to draw a reference to a famous scripture in the Bible where
Mm-hmm.
it talks about, you know, the 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 the, the tiers or the levels of kind of ways you're supposed to earn. And
Mm-hmm.
start the Bible says you want at least 7, and some say, boy, 8. Um, no, I don't want to paraphrase, but I'll tell any doctor that once you can't do this, you can't use your hands to earn, you have a big problem. So you find a lot of doctors, we are working beyond retirement, not necessarily just to just for the fun of it, because we still have to. So I think in med school and in going through a career, um, financing is something that doctors should learn, and how money works is a very important thing. And I would say those are things that I keep harping about.
Mm-hmm.
No, not to lead the podcast astray, but to make
Oh.
a very important point, which I think
Mm-hmm.
you have been a part of, is it's very expensive for family members to put loved ones through med school. And I tell students all the time, it starts the first thing with their parents. You can't come to a hospital setting dressed a certain way, but then when you're going to be friends in law school, they would never go to court wearing certain things or items. So now it goes back to the kind of pride instilled in medical students, how you're groomed throughout the career. And I find that as something that's lacking. So when your parents are spending $25 million, or let's put it in US, 125,000 to 200,000 US over these 5 years to put you through school, I tell people you must have a bit more pride attached to your career. And if you don't, it happens when you finish as an intern. Sorry, you can barely afford. You can barely afford to buy a car. You can barely afford to pay some of your loans. A lot of the young physicians can't go and live on their own. A lot of them still have to live with their parents in order to afford life. No, I am not going to sit down and compare careers, but then I'll say the converse. Your friends who are going to do degrees in finance, MBA, and yeah, them out of the box, them can go get a house. Out of the box, they live in a better lifestyle. But I'll say this to you with a sense of a sense of pride behind it. I think that if we have more forums like this, I think eventually we'll be able to restore kind of the prestige that's attached to a physician and the time they spend and how much they earn. Because it's kind of unfair to tell somebody after the 5, 7, arguably 10, if you get to specialize, and then so specialize another 2 to 4 years, and then come out of med school and figure out another career to kind of get the kind of lifestyle you thought you were promised.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a lot to digest. Yeah, but that's powerful. Because even with myself on my experience, I think there is just a realistic divide on what I expected and what it actually was. Like at the end, as you rightly said, I'm still living with parents, still trying to pay off loans and you just don't have the time. You have to sacrifice so much. And you say, wow, but I am a doctor. And sometimes we prioritize the post and the position, but yet we're still suffering and our relationships suffer as well. And that was one of the big things that when I just had to pause, especially with the onset of COVID, I think a lot of people just had to time to just slow down and say, what am I doing with my life? Where am I going? And I think some of the realities that you just kind of unmask are just some of the core things that people have to actually draw back and look at and put in focus. So, thank you so much for saying that. hmm Um, and one of the things I would like to ask you, because as you rightly said, looking at somebody would look at you and say, you are at the pinnacle, you're a consultant, he has it all figured out. And so what I would want you to just share is what are some of the mindset shifts you had to experience going from intern to consultant to now even having your own practice and doing business.
Oh, I think the biggest mind shift for me was taking a bet on myself as a physician. Um, I started doing private practice immediately after internship.
Mm,
And I started building, I guess, a name and confidence around being a physician outside of the hospital. And that made the difference. And that's the first thing. So the mindset was kind of an identity of,
correct.
am I really that good? Do I need to be in a hospital setting to be a good physician? And I think once you get the circuit going, where you're seeing patients, you start realizing you're making not only just changes and difference, but you're kind of standing on your own. Then you get
Correct.
confidence to say, oh, well, I mean, fine. Clearly, I know what I'm doing. How do I make this somewhat of a business model? And I think
Mm,
that I have moments as you shop around and you work for different physicians, doctors, and I do give them kudos because they do share a little bit of business knowledge and wisdom as you continue. The
mhm.
biggest transition point was when I finished my specialization. The question is, are you going to still work for people or are you going to go on your own? And I think having a meeting with with my main business partner at the time, and he definitely looked me in the face and said, well, if you're not going to take a gamble at yourself, I don't want to business with you because
Mm,
that don't make no sense. And he politely said, and he is one of those persons that I do applaud him and I guess my parents. When he talks to them about finances, they give it up the crude story of how it works. And the first thing I'd say is that if you're going to work for somebody and they can comfortably give you a salary, just best and believe that they're earning a lot more money from you at your time. Just to give a better picture of it is that if I can hire a physician and say I'm giving you a flat rate as a salary for the month and give you perks as it goes occasionally, I will never have a business model that if I have to pay that one physician, I'm broke. I must be able to can pay that physician and have some left behind. Payroll cannot be the biggest cost to me. There also has to be other things that I'm left behind with. And if payroll is the biggest cost to you, you're running a business on the wild. So I kind of thought a little bit different and said, well, if somebody can offer me a check to work for them and say, hey, I'm giving this flat rate, how much money is this business really making? And I think that big question at the aha moment triggered me to think a little bit more of financing and how business works. And I would say my aggression towards investments and business also came from meeting different people in the field and going around shaking hands, and then people started talking to you. So I
mm,
tell myself I wouldn't necessarily consider myself the brightest in financing,
mhm.
but I like to tell people that I do very well with numbers. And when the numbers don't make any sense, I'm going to ask questions. So that'll be the second big light that went off. The third one, which I think was the biggest one, was I think as a young physician moving back to Kingston, the prices for things were just crazy. Real estate was just crazy. And you looked around and you're like, how can I afford? I need to live close enough to the hospital because of my career. Because if I have to run and see a patient, I can't be leaving halfway across Kingston to come there. I need to live close. But when you look at the real estate price, you look at your salary, you're like, there's no wiggle room. I can't afford a mortgage and live.
Mhm.
Then you looked on the other side. Who are the ones that are buying these big properties? Who are the ones that are are able to afford this lifestyle that I can't. I mean, I need to live close. I can't live close. And I need security. I need safety. I mean, who are these people? And when you start answering that question and you ask what they do, and you find out what they do, you learn that, wait, the equation is backwards. Me as a sole proprietor necessarily can't afford the lifestyle. You learn the other thing why you have people who work for people, and that there's a dollar value for that. There's a dollar value for managing these people. There's a dollar value for doing these things. And when you start thinking like that, you're like, okay. So there is a cap as a physician how much you work. Fine, if you want to work 16-hour days, you're going to burn out. You're going to get tired. But then you have the business managers and those that can fly private, first class. I can't even afford first class. You see people sitting in first class, you ask them how. And then you learn that they run businesses, they run companies, they have people that they pay, they have staffs, and while they're away, the staff is working, the companies are working, the business is working, and you're just like, hmm.
Mm.
Hmm.
Mm.
Okay. And then you start opening your eyes to, as I said, the business around side medicine.
Right.
Who's selling the supplies to the hospital? Who is actually providing oxygen? And then you start realizing that the lifestyle you want was never medicine. The lifestyle was around medicine. The people who are buying the expensive cars, I mean, it's a simple answer. If you go to any of the sales rep, I mean, the doctors are buying a certain brand, the business people are buying a next brand, and you're just like, how are they able to afford these $50, $60 million vehicles? And they're like, I have companies. And then you answer the big question, which is, what is my time worth? And I think that's where the fourth light went off for me.
Mm.
And that allowed me to segue into other ventures and still segueing into other ventures. So I wouldn't pretend that I haven't figured out, but I'm figuring it out. But what I've learned that, and the biggest lesson I've learned is as a doctor, we're not trained to understand the business. We are the business. We are the workhorses, and there's someone eating the cream off our backs. So I give you the final light, which is, how do I ensure that when I'm near retirement, I can enjoy just working for fun versus working to pay bills, versus working to finish paying a mortgage, versus working to afford to travel? How can I enjoy that last bit of my career as I'm in this middle part where they say that this is the hardest part to work in a career? And I think that is a massive question I'm trying to figure out an answer. But I can tell you it's not going to be from seeing a single patient every day. It can't be, because I will burn out. So yeah, those are, I guess, the 5 posts that I'd say, or checkpoints I would say in my life that has keyed me into thinking a little bit outside of my regular job.
Thanks for the vulnerability. I appreciate it. Somebody in medical school or who is starting internship will probably be watching this right now and probably be saying, wow, I want to be more. I want to be more than just a paycheck, a month-to-month paycheck, or I want to be worth more than that. In starting in internship, I know you mentioned identity. How do we start to coin that identity? Where do we start? What's the first thing an intern, after coming from medical school, coming into internship, what should their focus be?
Wow, that's a very loaded question, because what I want to do is tell any doctor to give up on a dream when they started medicine. So the first thing is, know why you're there. If you are there for a paycheck, fine. Learn a little bit about the business around medicine. But I chose my career field because I love to help people. I honestly didn't choose it for the money. And why I say that, to be honest, is I love my job. I really do love waking up and going to work. I love teaching, as you say. I mean, this is why we have this relationship. We never had it.
Right.
I just love working. What I was never happy with was the pay. I was never happy from day one with the pay. So I would say to any physician, if you young physician, not everybody has to be an entrepreneur. Everybody has to be a business owner. Some people are really fine with, I don't want to learn the business. Just give me my paycheck and I'll live fine on that.
Right.
I would say I'll say this, that ensure that your passion for why you chose medicine aligns with what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And that's the first thing I'd say. And let me give you a prime example. A lot of the young medical females I'm teaching, their new take on life is this soft life, the kept life.
Right.
I'll tell you, they say, listen, I am not waking up at 2 a.m. to deliver a picnic. I am not going to live my life being on call all the time. I don't want that. I want to marry a rich man. I want to marry a man and be kept. I want to marry a man who's earning multiples of my pay. So my pay is my pay. And I'd also nothing wrong if that's what they want.
That's what you want.
But they're honest.
Yeah.
Versus a young man who I met the other day who, and I said this, he's from humble beginnings. His family has made a lot of sacrifices to get him through med school, and I won't say much about his private story, which he shared with me. Right. But his idea is to pull his family out of poverty.
Right.
And that is not a man I would sit down with and say, okay, that's a big statement to make.
Right.
You can't pull your whole family out of poverty just on your back and thinking that the only time you make money is when you work. And that's the thing about a physician. If we sit down in our house for a week, you better have paid leave. But the minute you don't have any paid leave, you're not getting paid. So I urged him and I told him, definitely you want to think a little bit outside of how can I earn money while I'm sleeping or while I'm not working. And that's where now you can get into investment, bonds, stocks. You can get into trading. So I met a student in front of me trading before class. So there are things that you can do that's going to earn you some money from the money that you have earned. So I tell people all the time that I live by, if I work hard for the money must work just as hard as I work. So you want to ensure that your money is working while you're working and you don't get caught into the consumerism of life. So yes, it's nice to have the big car, the big house, but keep in mind you have to work to keep those. What if you're able to put away that principle of, yes, you tie the 110, you put away a 25%, and that 25% is split in two, and you make that 12.5% go and earn some passive income. That now gives you some residual at the end of the year, whether it's going to be dividends, stocks. I mean, you can choose what you want. But I tell people all the time that, who have that dream, try and ensure that, yes, you're going to earn well, but try and ensure your money works very well. There's another thing I want to touch on, and this is an excellent forum for it. There is a funny side note that financiers look on us for. We're the stupid smart people. They earn well, and they'll come and sit down in any meeting and come and tell you, oh, buy this, buy that, and we'll ensure in 10 years you get back this money. Don't do it. Start asking questions. Where's my money being invested in? What are you buying? If they can't give you some direct answers or they can't explain it to you, don't do it. Because everyone is quick to give you a big car loan, a massive credit card. They're quick to come and sell you some, I won't call the company's names, but some fool investor, something that you give them a monthly thing, and then maybe after 10 years, you get the money.
Maybe.
I will tell you that after 10 years, if those investments fail, you ain't getting dollar. You ain't getting back principal, or you're getting a smaller percentage of what you work for. And that they're taking your money and reinvesting it into real estate, business, and making the company more wealthier. They're telling you all of that. They're telling you about development plans. They're not telling you about what the municipal council has next. Where's the next Portmore? Where's the next big? They're telling you all of that. But believe you me, they're taking your money and they're going to invest it. They're going to flip it. They're going to make themselves wealthy. There's a reason why the person who's coming to scrape that money from you drives a nicer car than you. Because they have about 15, 20, 30 people, and the minute you pay that thing every month, they get the money in their bank account. Their base salary is nothing much, but they're making sure they rake up that money. And after that 10 years, they may not even managing the portfolio, but they have made their money and got their business. So I tell a lot of the young ones who may reach out to me about finances is, don't be a fool. And Just like how you are able to self-teach yourself, try and educate yourself a little bit about finances and money. And I mean, it's there on YouTube. There are books you can read. There are a lot of doctors who do MBAs after. The world is a massive field of fun. Go out there,
Mm.
but don't make anybody come to you and tell you how to spend your money.
Yeah,
Investor, wife, kids, nobody do that to you. Nobody fall into that trap. Really and truly, as hard as you work for the money, make sure the money work hard for you. Make sure.
that's true. Yeah. Another thing that's I think is even more important than the money is the relationships that you foster as it is that you find your calling and as live out your purpose. One thing I wanted to ask is that how has that been for you in terms of now moving from internship, residency, consultant, say, and then now incorporating another human being, which is your wife, no kids, growing your family, and no, this might be a loaded question again, yes, but what how, what was that change like? And talking as a single man as well, like what, how did you position yourself to change and still remain motivated and probably even more motivated to now take care of another person?
The village plays a big role. The first thing I'd say is that who you choose to marry and have kids with, or you choose to share your downtime with matters, because it's on those rough days when you want to give up and walk away, they look on you and say, no, you started it, you finish it. Or it's on those days they'll look on you and be like, you're not happy, you need to change something. Or it's on those days they remind you of, you know, why you're good and why you're so good at what you do. So motivation comes from your village and your circle. Choose well, get rid of toxic company,
Right.
de-stressing stuff. Tell people all the time that you have to be careful of your downtime because sometimes you can be spent at work and then your downtime you're spent also. Before you know it, you pour it from an empty cup. So make sure that you recharge and you defragment well. And when I say recharge is that even if you spend the time, let's say you go swimming or riding or exercise, make sure that you spend it around people that are motivated, that are positive. Um, but the first thing that I would say keeps me grounded is my relationship with God, prayer life. Um, I remind myself that I am here for His purpose and His doing, and that I'm put in the position by Him, not by myself. And I remember that greater purpose in it all. That is not about what I can gain from everything, it's about what the Lord has put me here to do. I think that kind of purposeful thinking is just really from your relationship with your creator. I mean, I say that anybody who doesn't know God or doesn't have a relationship with Him, regardless of where you're on the spectrum, if you're going to be an evangelistic pastor or you're just starting a Christian journey, having a relationship with God in in your career life matters a lot, and that has made a difference for me. And the ups and downs that you're gonna have with Him, yeah, that's what has brought me here. Now, in terms of achieving a balance, I don't know. I mean, you make it work. You make let's say
It work.
make it work. I mean, there's some. I'll be honest. There's some weeks I don't see my child.
Mm-hmm.
Hours. I wake up early, leave early, come home late. She's asleep. But you know that she's a father. So say on a Saturday or you on a Sunday, make some time to spend with her, so she sees her father. There's a presence felt in the household.
Right.
Um, it's easier when you have a spouse who respects your career and understands your career. And I say those two important: respect and understand. So they will kind of do the buffering. They will send the pictures, the videos. They will try and get you in tune when things happen at school. They keep you going, and they don't
Mm-hmm.
appreciate the fact that you're working for the family, the unit, and not for yourself. So they give you the grace in saying, okay, do what you have to do. We understand. But as I say, the first original is the relationship with God and choosing someone who has that relationship also, and that plays a massive role um, in everything in life. There's a There's a statement that flies around in the business community that the most important thing you can do is choose who you're gonna have your children with. Your marriage will be second. But I argue that I think both of them have the same position in your life. Who you have your children with and who you marry matters a lot. So yeah, granted, fine if you don't want to get married. As I said, the relationship with God is the most important thing. That's what keeps you going, especially in your tired days and your off days.
I get you. Now, how does that extend into business relationships? Like who it, because they say sometimes um it's kind of like who you get in business with is like who you it's essentially like a kind of bond. You get me, a strong bond who you get in business with. How do you make that transition
I
or
think
that
I would even say business is not a marriage if you ask me.
get you?
um, yeah, well, that's a loaded one. Um, I think the first thing I'd say is ensure that your morals kind of match your business partner and your morals match. I think that matters in it all.
Yeah,
And that's what's to make or break the business, your morals and how you deal with people, how you treat people.
yeah,
That's the first thing. Um, and make sure that's married to a relationship with God. Why I say that is that you have fair and then you have unfair and then you have just wicked, you know? Um, and I think once you have a relationship with God, you tend to be fair in business. That's my experience.
yeah,
The other chapter is I, I'd say kudos to the business partner that I'm with one of the companies. He is the social butterfly for the company. So I give thanks. I don't have to do much of the sit down and fraternize. And he has a pretty good boundary principle with people.
mm,
So he's able to do what he needs to do and leave meetings not being tarnished. Um, so I would say ensure that you kind of have a power dynamic. There are things that he's really good at that I'm not, and there are things that I'm good at that he's not. And I think that helps the business and helps us to keep growing and work together. But don't be afraid to walk away from a company when you guys really not seeing eye to eye. You don't have to burn on Rome to prove a point. Um, and why I say that is that you don't have to make the business crash to prove that hey, this is how I wanted to run it or not. Or you don't have to get frustrated if you have to move on from your business partner because things are not working out. But I've been fortunate enough that my business partner and me have been friends before.
mhm.
I recommend doing business with friends now, but we have been friends before, and I think we have a great respect and boundaries. So when I say things I've heard, when he says things, I hear him.
Yeah.
Have the same moral compass. So a lot of things are easier because we say eye to eye on morals.
Hmm.
Yeah. And the other
Absolutely.
company that I work, that's a bigger one, and that's a lot more minds, but all of them are Christian based. They're all people who believe in God, pray before meetings, they speak about God. And as I said, the moral compass is intact.
Yeah.
So for me, I guess the shark world phenomenon of business, I'm a bit protected by my business partners. So I can sit down and I'm like, "Ooh, well, I gotta have to do that. Um, I don't have to do with that person. But yeah, it matters that you guys sit eye to eye and you guys have God. So yeah.
Yeah, I think partnership and collaboration is very important, especially
Mhm.
for the physician who is in medicine navigating just starting. For me, when I was starting out like doing business, I would always try to form a strong team first because I know that at the end of the day, it's like putting more hours in the day when you have more perspective, more insight. And then I learned, okay, alignment is very important. Also having person with different strengths, even if it is that you have different strengths, different weaknesses, and just covering that, knowing that, working on that. So yeah, that's great that you have such a great team, and I continue to pray because I love that you said there is a relationship with Christ because even and I was even guilty of this where I was I was pursuing wealth to create more time with Christ, not knowing He wants to be a part of it all. You get me? He wants you to have that conversation with him. He wants to be a partner in your business. So that's something I learned very quickly. Yeah. But like in closing, I think you gave a lot of gems today. I'm you, I'm gonna have to sit down and think about these things. So thank you so much. But like the one of the questions I want to ask you is like, what does wealth mean to you? Yeah, ask some good questions. Yes.
I have the answer, but wealth is the first thing I'm going to say. Wealth to me is not what I have in the bank account.
Mm-hmm.
It's that I own.
Mm-hmm.
Wealth to me is my time.
Okay.
It's the time that I've spent already. The lives I've impacted.
Yeah.
My wealth is being able to go into a friend's house and open the fridge and be able to take anything out and sit down and eat and say, I'm hungry.
Mm-hmm.
My wealth is being able to look at my daughter and say, God, and saying, wow, if this is how God look at us as kids, man, he has fun watching us and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My wealth is the grace my wife gives me to enjoy life. My wealth is seeing my brothers, seeing that they're healthy and fine, our parents, and seeing that they're well and they're living. My wealth is people I meet along the way that teach me the tough lessons about life.
Yeah.
And my wealth is also the great people that you meet who remind you of your gifts in Christ and tell you keep going, Don't worry about people who do bad and do wrong. So for me, the, the journey to wealth is my wealth. It's not going to be the end point when I can say I'm a billionaire or I've done this and that for companies or sitting on meetings and podcasts and talking about all the manners of business. And so well, I think I'm a very wealthy man already.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very wealthy man, and I'm a very fortunate man.
Mm-hmm.
Give thanks for that. And one of the humbling things is wealth when you have taught a great doctor like you and seen what you have segued into, and then having this kind of level of discourse. That's wealth. That's a wealthy perspective.
Mm-hmm.
That's what wealth means to me. Someone is to give me $1 billion tomorrow, I don't think I'd feel wealthy. Maybe because I don't have it now, but I mean, in life, I think I've done well,
Yeah.
and I don't think the materialism makes me any happier than when I didn't have it. I think what keeps me sane and smiling is when I reflect on the journey of life, what I've done for persons, and the changes you make in people's life. That's wealth right there. That's to me, that's what wealth means. So you can quote me on this. It will never be about how much I earn, how much I don't earn, how much I have in the bank account or I don't have. It's
Mm-hmm.
the, it's the people that are in my life and the village that surrounds me that makes me really wealthy. And
Yeah.
my honest journey, my honest part of my journey is just to be blessed with more great people and souls around me and to enjoy this existence before I move on to eternity and make a valuable impact. So when my day of judgment comes, I can smile and say, yeah, I ran a good race. So yeah, that's my wealth.
That's beautifully said, man. That's poetic right there.
That's my wealth.
Yeah. I think we had an amazing conversation. Definitely dropped plenty of gems, diamond, a field of diamonds to just to reflect on. So I want to thank you so much for your time. Um now in closing, promise this is the last question because there might just be somebody who this reaches, whether next week or a year from now, 2 year, 5 years from now, who sits down and watches like, what are the three pieces of advice that you want them to, if nothing else, that you want them to leave watching this and carry with them throughout their life?
First one is form a great relationship with your creator. You're here for a massive purpose and a purpose beyond what you can put in words and express. If you don't know that purpose, find a church body, find a group, find somewhere and explore your journey with God. Don't stop until he speaks to you. He will find his way to communicate to you, whether by voice, scriptures, form that relationship. It'll make value, what I consider value living. Second major point is you are you're a product of your environment and the people you choose to be around. And I said choose because you can choose to be around anyone you want. Somebody going to blame, I didn't come from this background, this family. I look on you as an adult and I say, that's great, but you can choose where you want to be. You put, look back into Darwin's theory or one of the major theories in socialization. You put a child who's not smart in a group of children who are smart is going to become smart. You put somebody who's impoverished into a group of people who are wealthy is going to become wealthy. So whatever you want to achieve out of this life, the mere fact that you have woken up, you have breath, you have air in your lungs, you can do something. Don't make an excuse about not having hands, feet, feeling sick, feeling well. I have friends who have cancer and have rebounded and have done well for themselves. You go and put yourself where you want to be and go and be the best you can be. The major and the last point I give to any person who watches this who may want something to value proposition, invest in yourself. You are the most valuable asset. Stop investing in people. Stop making people come and rape you of your time, your money, your energy. Invest in yourself. Take a risk on yourself. Go and do something for yourself. Don't wake up and say you're bored. Don't wake up and say you're depressed. Get in your car, drive, go and meet people, go and sit down, go and talk. Go out there and live life, breathe it. Don't sit down and allow the devil to tell you you're depressed, you're sad. No. Get up and live. Get up every day and you go out there and live. And those are, I guess, the three things I'd say. If somebody else to ask me what I want them to be with them forever. Yeah.
Yeah, well said. Thank you so much, Dr. Adrian Mitchell, and hope this is not the last time we see you on the show. We really do appreciate you, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening, sir.
Big up, man. Respect.